The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericahealth.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reich.
Welcome back to Straight Talk and Happy New Year, everybody. I have to tell you, I think we're starting the year with a bang. I'm sitting here with someone I admire and respect so much, a Canadian superstar. She gets shy when I say this, but she is a Canadian superstar, and I have the great luck of knowing her personally and knowing about her journey. And imagine the combo of being a Canadian superstar and also working through your stuff. So to me, that makes you beyond a superstar. That's somebody who really is empowered. So I asked her to come on the show. Let me tell you a little bit about who's sitting next to me today. Tracey Deer is a double Gemini award-winning producer and director, a Mohawk filmmaker. She's done documentary and fiction, films, and TV. She is the creator of the very, very popular Mohawk Girls in season 3, right? Going into season 4 right now. I just read, Tracey, we'll get to this, that Mohawk Girls has been named one of the top 10 shows on Canadian television. Is that right? Is it Canadian or is it North American? Canadian. Okay, well, we're getting there. Let me tell you a little bit more about her. She's also done a fantastic reality TV show, which I had the privilege to be on because she was so kind to me to put me on there, called Working It Out Together, where she took people from her community who wanted to better their lives, and she brought in experts to help them do that. Can you imagine how brilliant an idea that was? Well, it went so well that it made it into 2 seasons, and from what I understand, there's going to be a season 3, and she helps so many people. So one has to wonder what drives her to help so many people. Well, I personally know, but I'm going to let her talk about it a little bit today. Before I go any further, I just want to mention for the Americans listening that a Gemini award in Canada is equivalent to an Oscar in the States.
Emmy.
Oh, sorry.
Television.
An Emmy. So I really am sitting with Canadian royalty. I want to welcome to the show, Tracey Deer. Welcome to Straight Talk, Tracey.
Thank you so much, Sandra. I'm thrilled to be here with you.
Thank you.
As I always am to see you.
Oh, you're so sweet. So Tracey, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, your professional life and the journey you have been on. You've really made a difference for so many people. And it does seem, looking at your bio, and I know it well, that there has been a theme to the shows and movies that you have been involved in. What started you on this path?
Well, that is a great opening question, Sandra Reich. I grew up on a reserve, which in the United States, you guys call them reservations. I'm a Mohawk woman. I grew up in a small reserve, and I grew up really feeling invisible, voiceless. I felt really boxed in by people's definitions of what it is to be a Native American, what people expected of me. Basically, the message I got was they didn't expect all that much. And that came from within my own community, that came from the larger community, that came from the country, Canada. And I was about 12 years old when I had this dream that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And everyone told me, that can't happen, that why do you want to do that? And I just loved disappearing into story. I loved disappearing from my own reality into somebody else's reality, and it gave me the freedom to feel things and experience and learn So I just fell in love with it. And it was in university that I randomly took a documentary class because I had to for my major. And I had always discounted documentary. You know, when I was in high school, it was the boring thing. It was the boring thing they put on in class and you fall asleep. Well, this documentary class introduced me to the beauty and the horror of truth of the human experience. And it literally, you know, tore my guts out and broke my heart. And I mean, if I thought I was feeling things while I watched Indiana Jones, boy, oh boy, did I really feel things when I was watching real people expose their soul, really for the betterment of my own experience. You know, watching them go through what they went through and the learning process they went through, I was able to learn from that process. So it was in university that I fell in love with documentary and thought, wow, this is what I want to look at. This is what I want to talk about. And amazingly, when I graduated from university back here in Canada, the Aboriginal People's Television Network had just been created. And this is our own national network that tells stories by Aboriginal people for Aboriginal people. So lo and behold, I graduate, and now not only am I ready to jump into the entertainment business and the film world, but I can do so telling stories that I'm passionate about, that I can relate to. And up until that point, we would never see our lives reflected on Canadian television. We were actually invisible in this country.
So, Tracey, you talk about you went from feeling and being told this is not possible to actually you have your own production company now called Mohawk Pictures. Okay, so you believed somehow that there was a way. Yes, there were opportunities, but there had to have been a fire in you that believed it was possible. What drove you?
You know, honestly, that fire, it was anger. I was a very angry teenager. I suffered from very bad depression. I was suicidal at 14 and 15 years old. And I felt really hopeless. I felt, what's the point? Why am I here? Everyone's already telling me that my life is going to be nothing. So why bother? And that anger and hopelessness could have destroyed me, but I just hit a point where I thought, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I took that anger and said, you know what? I'm going to prove everybody wrong about me and about my people and about what I can accomplish. And that was the fuel to my fire for a very, very long time.
You know, I see the emotion in your face, and I'm so privileged I've been part of your journey, and I feel the emotion bubbling up for me too. And I want people to understand, you're very open, and that's one of the reasons I so appreciate you being here, because there's someone listening that is going to hear your story and be inspired, because you openly admit that the anger was the fire and that you were suicidal at a young age. I mean, this is serious stuff. So I wonder, your success started to come. You started to grow. You started to get known. This is way before you and I met. And but yet those feelings, and it must have made it even more difficult, I would imagine, because as your success grew in the fields, the emotional work or the stuff that had hurt you so much in your childhood must have still been there.
Absolutely. And, I was really looking to achievement and success to
take away the pain,
to heal that. If I could be the best at something, if I could win a Gemini and be declared the best nonfiction writer in Canada,
whoa,
then that means I am somebody. And it didn't.
Okay, so let's stop on that right there, because right there you can help so many people. So just let me make sure I get it right, okay? So are you saying this incredible external accomplishment that many people can only dream of did not take the pain away? Because many people believe money, success, beauty, those things will take the pain away. Are you saying that it didn't take the pain away?
It did not take the pain away.
How about for 5 minutes? Did it take it away when you got the award?
It did feel really, really great. It felt really great for that night and to have it and to celebrate and get my picture taken and just be swept away with, wow, I'm living my dream. Wow, I accomplished what I set out to do. I am the best. This little native Mohawk girl who was told she can't is the best in your face. But the next day I needed more. I was then like, okay, well, what now? Like, it's not enough.
You're only as good as your last accomplishments. And that is the problem with external rewards. So you found the pain came back to you. And I think that's fascinating because you did what so many did, and you did it well. You became so accomplished, but the pain was back. Was that a very hard reality to see it come back again once you had achieved this?
So this is the really, really interesting thing is I was not aware of this pain until my life fell apart and I met you and you made me aware that this pain is what has been driving my life in all of the dysfunctional ways it was. During this time, I had no idea. I had no idea that pain was there. Because I was doing somersaults to make it not be there.
Oh my God. Okay, we're just about to go to commercial. What a cliffhanger. Let's take a break and let's come back with the fascinating Tracey Deer. I'm Sandra Reich.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Ladies, how about a luxurious weekend while learning to empower yourself? Join Straight Talk's Sandra Reich January 29th at a gorgeous spa in Quebec for 3 days and 2 nights of empowerment, growth, and decadence. Delicious food, powerful learning, and much more. Life 2.0 The Retreat. Master how to command respect in your relationships. Learn about yourself and what is blocking you from living your best life. Meet other like-minded women and join in on the retreat that sells out year after year. Isn't it time you chose you? Call us at 514-796-4357. That's 514-796-4357. Don't miss your chance to change your life and relationships forever.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reich.
So we were talking on the break, and I must say, as always with Tracey, I'm blown away by her courage. And for her to come on the radio, I mean, she is so well known. And I want to talk about that theme along with what she was just talking about, the fact that she didn't know she had so much anger and what happened and how she had sort of pretzeled herself into making sure she didn't know that anger. So number one, I want to sort of commend you, Tracey, on the courage. There must be many people who, we live in an image society. So someone like you have a outstanding image. You're very well known. You're respected. People really admire you. And to be able to talk about feeling suicidal when you were young, talk about what we're about to talk about, what happened when we did meet, and how you started finding out you had pretzeled yourself for other people. We'll talk about what the heck that means to pretzel yourself. I gotta just first of all say, as always, and I've told you this privately, I'm awed by your courage. And I remember the first time we sat down, I said to you, by the time we're through, you're going to make a movie or a TV show or write a book on codependency, on enabling. You're going to become the world's expert on it so you can help others. And today you're going to be doing that. So I just tip my hat to you. I just want to start off with that before we get into it.
Thank you, Sandra.
So you said you didn't realize that you had this anger until you met me. So my question is, we met through weird circumstances because I was on one of your shows. Putting that aside, if you didn't realize that you were in so much pain, what on earth led you to therapy?
Well, what do a lot of people wait for in order to get themselves into therapy? And I think it's a really, really dark, deep hole. I found myself feeling like I was 14 again and spiraling down. And I knew that if I didn't reach out for help, that something terrible could happen to me I don't want to say at my own hand. I didn't let it get there, but I knew this dark place. I wasn't sleeping. I had heart palpitations. I could not work. I could not concentrate. My life was falling apart, and I felt I had absolutely no control. And up until that point, I tried to control every single element of my life, my relationships, my romantic relationships, my relationships with the people around me.
Example, how would you control a romantic relationship? How does one do that? She's thinking. Because there's many examples. Because where we're going is into the topic of codependency. So let me give her a minute to think about that. So codependency is a psychobabble word. A lot of people don't know it. So let's be clear. It came out of the alcoholic movement, but it's not necessarily only if you're living with an alcoholic. It's about caretaking another, which, by the way, is also a synonym for controlling. Because when we caretake, we're actually somewhat controlling the situation. So I'm going to help her out a little bit. She came in, she was in a relationship, and what she was doing is everything in her power to protect the relationship, even at the expense of herself. Is that about right?
That sounds right on the money, Sandra.
Yeah. And we started talking. So we sat right here and we started talking about how you had slowly but surely completely disappeared. As a matter of fact, I remember you saying, Sandra, when you hear my story, you're going to be shocked. And my response was, oh, I'm a therapist. I hear all sorts of stories. I'm not going to bat an eyelash. And I remember my mouth hanging open at how much a beautiful, brilliant woman had disappeared in her relationship. It was a pretty rough time.
Well, and this is the thing. I'm not quite sure I was ever actually myself until we started working together, and I was able to discover, who am I? Who do I want to be? Up until that point in my life, so much of every decision I made and every single thing I did was to please other people. Because if I could please other people and make them happy, then that meant that I was worth something. So even though I had this incredible success in my professional life, I still felt like a big old nobody. And I desperately just wanted the people around me to tell me I was somebody. But I needed to know I was somebody. I needed to believe I was somebody. And I didn't even know who I was. I mean, I remember I used to brag that I have so many masks, with my parents, with my romantic relationship, with my friends. I have all these masks and I can transform into the person that they need me to be at the moment they need it. And I used to be proud of this. I thought this made me awesome.
Yeah. The only problem is that there was no you in it. It was everything they wanted you to be.
That's right.
So I have a difficult question for you, which is, we are talking about what Tracey is talking about is really a form of codependency and enabling, because if you're being everything people want you to be, then you're taking care of them. You're not taking care of yourself. I want to know, how far did it get for you?
It got really far. So the other thing I did, let's say, like in my romantic relationship, because this is the relationship that did crumble and really sent me on a spiral downward. I was very enmeshed with this person.
Enmeshed is, again, a word you learned in therapy. So what does that mean?
My entire world revolved around this person.
Okay.
And if our relationship, any normal little fighter relationship like a couple might have, if that occurred, my entire world was destabilized. And until I could get it back on track, I could not function. I could not concentrate. I could not work. So I would do whatever I needed to in order to get things back on track. I also took on, my mask in this relationship was the cool girl with absolutely no needs whatsoever, who allowed anything and everything to happen because she's so cool. And I grew up, you grow up hearing men complain about women this and women that. Well, I wasn't going to be that woman. I was going to be cool and awesome and lovable. That's the message I grew up with.
And let anything go.
And let anything go.
And I mean, it's sort of a facetious question, but I'm going to ask it anyways, because I think other people think this low maintenance woman will get the love that they desire. Did it get you?
No.
At all?
No.
So,
you know what it did is it just upped the stakes of what this person wanted from me. There was no boundaries, and that goes for not just my romantic relationship. Like when I look back and I think about it, I was a giver, and when you just give, you get surrounded by takers who are happy to take, and who wouldn't be? It's so easy to just take from this giver who wants to just give more and more and more. And I think that becomes like the addictive, dysfunctional cycle of like, oh, well, I get this, now I want this.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it's not romantic to believe that people will take, because we believe in love, we won't take. But I think you're bringing up such an important point, and it's much of what our work was about, is unfortunately, if you open the door to someone violating your boundaries, unfortunately, they will walk through the door. And it did crumble. And you went through a terrible, terrible time. Now, what do they call that in your field? Foreshadowing, I think it's called. You turned it around, and not with that relationship, but through your work. And it was pretty gritty, the work. I'm curious about that. Like, actually, I have an email from somebody who's asking, it's a bit of an anti-Sandra question, is what was it about working with me that made the difference? She does seem very direct. Wasn't it hard to work with me?
It was extremely hard.
Thanks a lot.
But that is what I needed. Like, I wanted different. I wanted better. I couldn't live like that anymore. And Sandra, so Sandra is my therapist. And after the first few sessions of me sort of describing who I was, that is what happens, by the way, when you first start with a therapist. You have to bring them up to speed on who you are and what's been going on and why you're there. And I think it took 2.5 sessions to kind of get through all of it. And at the end of it, she was very, very like sweet and caring, but she said, I have very good news for you. You can absolutely turn this around, and I can tell you how. And I was just amazed that, wait, there's a light at the end of the tunnel here. Like there's a different way. And she also said, and the way you've been going, you're codependent. And so this is what you can work on that, and you don't have to be like that anymore. So then I was just I was all in, and it was like, okay, Yoda, I call her Yoda, tell me what to do. And honestly, there have been many times where she's told me certain things, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. So what's great about that is even after our session, I have homework. I have behavior changes that I have to work on. And and I need to remain self-aware and think of, why do I do this? And what do I get when I do this? And how do I feel about that? And so I loved having all of this homework. But some of the homework she gave me when we're sitting in this office, I like rolled my eyes and I just thought, come on, you can't really expect me to talk to myself in the mirror. And she said, yes, this is like, do you want the better life or don't you? And I wanted the better life. So I went home and I talked to myself in the mirror, and in the beginning I felt really silly and I rolled my eyes at myself, but I stuck with it. And guess what? By the end of the week, it was working. It was very, very incredible. And so in the 4 years that I've known Sandra, every single thing she tells me to do, I do, even when I'm skeptical, because I know it's going to work. And
sometimes you argue with me.
I argue with her. I have to say. But she's always right.
Oh, God.
Always right.
That's a lot to live up to.
You're always right. That's why you're Yoda.
The funny thing is I didn't know who Yoda was when she called me Yoda, so I had to research what that was all about. It's a big compliment. But I want to throw it back at you because, Tracey, there's many people who come in and there's, I have you here with me today. And it's not only because you have a fascinating background and, you're this Canadian treasure, as I like to say. But for me, what really excites me about you is, although I appreciate the compliments, it's that there's nothing like working with a client who really wants to do the work. So it's quite a while now that I've been doing these women retreats, and you started coming, and you became what you called a lifer. What does that even mean?
It means I'm going to be on this journey right until the end, because, the top of the mountain, like I don't ever want to reach it. I want to just keep climbing. I want to continue to become my best self. I can always improve.
And what was different about the retreats than coming in here? Like I know that was a big part for you because we did a full retreat at the spa. We're doing one in January, these women retreats. I actually don't know the answer to this question because you come see me, you're in my office, we work together. Why the retreats? I don't actually know.
Well, it's interesting. Your first retreat was happening maybe 6 weeks from the moment that we first had our first session. And, you passed me the pamphlet and said, oh, maybe this is something that you'd be interested in. And really at that moment, I was so hungry for everything I could get my hands on. And frankly, more time with you, fabulous. So I signed up. And I admit, when I got to this beautiful spa, I was very anxious. Like, what is this? I think you hear people going to retreats, and like a lot of people will roll their eyes at some group hippie dippy thing
and singing Kumbaya.
Well, we do. Well, we do sing though,
but not Kumbaya.
No, we don't sing Kumbaya.
No, we sing something a little bit more empowered.
But it turned out to be like just such a life-changing event. I mean, it was all women, and to have us all share the different struggles that we've gone through. Again, I learned so much from those 9 other women by them sharing what they've gone through. And it just felt very safe. It was very intimate. We were all able to just be who we are and not have husbands or children or family or bosses, like all these different roles. We were able to just be ourselves in this weekend. And it was super special. You've
been to 10 retreats now.
I've been to 10.
The first retreat you went to, I remember we did a circle, and you did something quite magical. Is that you were very honest and you told people your story, and so many people because of that felt safe to tell theirs. What's interesting to me is at the last retreat, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, through your work, not me, not the retreats, your work, because a therapist or a retreat can only take you as far as the client wants to work. You started a new relationship, and by the last retreat, you were able to come to the retreat, and your first story was so gritty that people were like, oh my God. And by the last retreat, you were talking about being in this happy relationship, which we're going to start talking about how you made that shift. And I'm not talking about that the shift is that happiness is being in a relationship. God forbid that's the message we send. But that everything we attract in our life is a reflection of ourselves. And You did a lot of work on your own, but you did draw into your life a very different relationship. Before we get to that, we do have a call. Let me say hello to Nadine. Nadine, you're on the air with Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Hi, I have a question. I believe her name is Tracey.
Yes.
Tracey, you're such an inspiration. I love what you said about like always being on the journey, and keep on working on yourself. I'm trying to work on my own journey, and I have a question about when you got rid of being codependent, did your boyfriend change right away? What happened?
That is a great question, Nadine. Thanks for calling in. I actually ended up, that relationship didn't make it. I needed things to change, and I started changing, but I can't speak for him actually, but it didn't work out. I don't know.
So
I don't know what I don't know his process, but that relationship, the first relationship that we were talking about is the one that didn't work out. But I am in a new relationship. Were you asking about the first one or the new one?
Well, both, because I'm trying to work on my own. I think that I might also be codependent, and I don't know if it's a healthy relationship or not. I'm just trying to get to know myself.
Right.
And that's the fear. I'm really scared of change. And do you regret it? Do you regret getting over this?
No, not at all. Not at all. Oh my God. It's the best thing I've ever done for myself. And look, I still have to work on it because it's something that I've lived with my whole life.
When you were, I think one of the things that the caller is asking, and I don't know if I've got this right, Nadine, but when you started your new relationship and you worked on your codependency, because already in the new relationship, you were still a little bit in codependency, am I right? You were still enabling a bit. You found yourself in the same trap. We haven't gotten to that yet, but you found yourself in the same trap. So as you worked on it, what happened to the relationship? Did it go smooth? Is that about right, Nadine, what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, so let me give a little preface to the new relationship. I mean, I did all this work with Sandra. I took a whole year to pull myself back up from the failed relationship. And one of the things Sandra challenged me to do was to believe that there are good guys out there, because I had this idea that all guys sucked. They were all dogs. They were all cheaters. They were all liars. And she said, look, if that is the way you look at the world, that is what the world is going to give you. So one of the things she said was, Tracey, you need to believe that there are good guys out there if you actually want to meet one. And this is one of the things I rolled my eyes at and was like, fine, Sandra, fine. There's good guys out there. And that was a massive thing I worked on. And lo and behold, I ended up meeting a wonderful guy. A guy that, years before, I didn't think these types of guys existed outside of movies. And we started our relationship, and it was completely different than my previous relationship. However, I still had a bunch of my own ingrained behaviors and beliefs in place. And one of those is that I can fix things. I can fix things with love and support and patience. So when things started going wrong in my relationship, I felt it was like my responsibility to make this right, to fix this. And a bunch of the problems stemmed from his own issues. But I didn't make it his responsibility. I made it mine. Like, if I love him enough, he'll get over this. And that is codependency, because that his issues, his problems are not mine to carry. They're his.
Right.
And so
right. I think that's what I do. I think that,
yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's just such a hard thing, because I've been doing this for so long.
Exactly. It takes a lot of practice to be different. And I don't know if you've ever picked up the book Codependent No More by Melody Beattie, but that became like my Bible. And I totally recommend it to everybody who thinks they might be in this situation, and do the questions at the end of the chapters. I mean, it helped me so much. What ended up happening in my current relationship is it did get to a point that it was no longer healthy for me. And I realized I cannot change this on my own. We would both need to participate.
Wow.
So I had to remove myself.
So you broke up?
We broke up. And within a few days, he called and asked for the chance, for a second chance, because he wanted to be the man that I deserved. And then he set forth on his own journey of bettering himself and working on his issues. And about 4 months later, we found ourselves back together and are now sort of climbing that mountain together. And it's really incredible to be with somebody who also wants to be their best self.
But he did the work. It's important, Nadine, he did the work, because the question is, if you're willing to do the work, is your partner willing to do the work?
Yeah, your relationship will never get better if only one of you is trying.
Listen to you. Wow. Nadine, what do you think?
I'm really scared still. I think that's such an inspiration. I love the fact that I'm just so scared that he's going to leave me, and I'm probably pretty scared about being alone. I love that you had the courage to be able to say that you wanted more and deserved more. I'm going to really work on it and do some time reflecting and thinking about it, and see if I can do the same thing.
You know what really helped me? I heard it at one of the retreats, because a lot of us women were in the same position of being in these relationships that, weren't quite healthy, and we wanted healthy, and we wanted change, and we were all afraid of demanding more of our partners or rocking the boat, and we were afraid that we might lose them. And Sandra, I mean, it was actually brilliant, because what she said was, ladies, if you want better and you ask for it and your guy is not interested, do you really want that guy in your life? And I think that's something we have to always remember, that they show us every day who they are. We have to see it, we have to believe it, and we can't bank on potential. I think for so long I was dating a man's potential and I was waiting for him to get there. But we all have potential. We don't all reach it.
Hey,
right. I'm gonna try to do the same thing. And Sandra, I just wanted to tell you I have ordered your book, and I'm really excited to get it so that I can start learning a little bit more about myself. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, because that book talks a lot about the journey of codependency. So I appreciate that, Nadine. Thanks for your call.
Good luck, Nadine.
Thank you.
We're going to have to take a short commercial. We'll be back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Opinions, options, answers. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety video therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you choose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Ladies, how about a luxurious weekend while learning to empower yourself? Join Straight Talk's Sandra Reich January 29th at a gorgeous spa in Quebec for 3 days and 2 nights of empowerment, growth, and decadence. delicious food, powerful learning, and much more. Life 2.0 The Retreat. Master how to command respect in your relationships. Learn about yourself and what is blocking you from living your best life. Meet other like-minded women and join in on the retreat that sells out year after year. Isn't it time you chose you? Call us at 514-796-4357. That's 514-796-4357. Don't miss your chance to change your life and relationships forever.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Opinions, options, answers. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reich.
Hi, it's just the hours going by too fast. I've already asked Tracey to come back for a part 2 so that we don't rush this, because I think her journey can help so many people, like Nadine's questions. We were talking on the break between us about that some of the journey was not only about the concept of believing that there are good men, which, by the way, is a concept on everything. If you believe the world's a dangerous place, the world becomes a dangerous place. If you believe that people are inherently bad, you will prove yourself right, and that's what Tracey was doing. But a lot of her work also was about learning how to have a love affair with herself, which was really a foreign language for her. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of the women on the retreat, and that's really even what the book is about. You can talk a little bit about the book and how it impacted you. I'll leave that to you, Tracey.
Well, your book, Sandra, it's fantastic because it really takes everything we're learning in the retreats and you touch upon it all in the book. So for people who cannot come to your retreat, the book is the place to go to for all of it. And wow, I mean, there's so much in the book. There's so much to cover. Well,
the book's called Once Upon a Time, How Cinderella Grew Up and Became a Happy, Empowered Woman. And I guess the Cinderella syndrome is what inspired me to write it. And I guess your story is very much that, because I think we grew up with One Day My Prince Will Come. And in listening to your story, it sounded like you really were pretzeling yourself into what men wanted you to be, because they were supposed to be your prince. So if there was a problem, the problem had to be you. And I think many women feel that way, because we still grow up thinking that we are identified very much by our relationships and the men that we get married and that we end up with men. And although, I think it's such a powerful thing that you're in this wonderful relationship now, and how hard the two of you have worked to create that. I think we've only grazed upon that a little bit. I'd like to go back there. But I also think that for both of you and for all couples, and I think that our last caller mentioned that, is you mentioned it, you both have to be healthy. I can't make my relationship work myself. And I think when you got into this new, healthier relationship, you talked about a breakup. During that breakup, did your partner have to go for help?
Well, he didn't have to do anything. He chose to.
Yeah.
He decided that he wanted better for himself as well. And so he took the steps and started on his own journey.
But that also was motivated by you deciding you wanted better for yourself.
That's right. And that I think was the big thing. It's the big revelation on that we can't force people to be anything
who we want them to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
you have to be nice if we could.
You have to make choices for yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. And, you know, I never gave my current love the ultimatum of like, do this or lose me. I knew what my boundaries were, and they were being crossed, and I did not want that to be the rest of my life. I had lived that before. And so I said, this doesn't work for me. This is not enough.
And that's another testimony to you, because if I go back 4 years ago and I remember asking you what your boundaries were, and you said, what's a boundary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I mean, take that in, Tracey. It's just unbelievable, the work you did and what is possible. You, by 4 years later, were able to say, this is not enough for me. This does not work for me. You started to believe you were the diamond that we all need to believe we are. And you had boundaries. That's an amazing change.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I really, in so many ways, I'm completely different than the girl of my past. Okay. And, you know, my heart breaks for her. And I wish I knew all this earlier. I wish we were learning this. I wish there were classes for girls in high school to learn this stuff, to learn that we're diamonds. We were born diamonds, and we need to be cherished. And it's okay. It's absolutely necessary to demand to be cherished
and to cherish ourselves.
And cherish ourselves.
Absolutely. So well said, Tracey. I had the privilege to go to Mexico with you this year because we had a couple retreat, and you brought your new love on the couple retreat. What was that like for you? And maybe you'll tell everyone what happened there. Tell us a little bit about the couple retreat.
So my boyfriend and I got back together. We had broken up, and it had been a good 5 months of him doing his work. I had to do my work because I had fallen back into codependency with him, and we ended up finding our way back to each other. And now, like I said, we're climbing this mountain together. And beautiful? So Sandra launched her couples retreats, and both of us were so excited to go and learn more about how to be a healthier couple. We're both working on our individual stuff, but now throw these two aspiring healthy people together, and of course there's going to be issues, there's going to be problems, there's going to be things that we don't know how to handle. So this couples retreat was fantastic, and it gave us new ways on how to communicate, how to listen. My God, I realized how hard it is to listen. And we learned how to listen to one another and how to not be injecting our own thoughts and our own deductions while the other is talking. You know, we're different. That was the other big realization.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so obvious that we're all different people. Therefore, the way I handle things, the way I think about things, what I'm concerned with, of course, those aren't the same for him, and what is important to him and how he sees the world and how he processes the world is going to be different from the way I do. And I think in my relationships past, and even within this one, I want it to be my way. And my way is the one that makes sense. And
of course,
it's so crazy because we're two different people.
Well, that's the challenge, right, of relationships is if we want everything our way, we can go be single. That's fine. But if we want to be in a relationship, we really need to learn about the other. And you did so well at that retreat. And I know you signed up to come back to Mexico with us next year. We're so excited about that. And you're coming to the women's retreat in January. Tracey, you mentioned something, and I think it needs to be really honored and highlighted, is that you said you wish, and this is something I admire so much about you, you said you wish every young girl would learn these things. And I think that you do yourself a disservice there by not mentioning your own contribution here. You have a show now on TV, this Mohawk Girls, and I know you've taken a lot of the themes of therapy and your own journey and injected them into the show. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's my baby right now. It's a half-hour comedy show airing here in Canada, and it's about 4 late 20-something girls, early 30s, dealing with life and love in a small town within a bigger world and trying to figure out who they are, where do they belong, who do they want to be. And they're going through all of these different relationships, ups and downs, not just with boyfriends, but with parents, with each other. And it's been really gratifying and fulfilling to use my own past and my own ups and downs and everything I've learned from it to put it in this show. So the show in a lot of ways is very autobiographical, with things pulled directly out of my own life. And it's, I went through a lot. I have lived with pain for a very long time, but to be able to sort of harness that past and put it into this project that I just love so much, and that I think it is entertaining people, but it's doing, I hope it's doing more than that as well.
Tracey, I think that doing a show like that and coming on this show, and we're going to have you back because I really think we scratched the surface and we have a lot of calls and emails that we're not going to be able to get to this time, but we'll get to them next time. I think that you're giving a gift, a real gift, and I want to say that to you because you've suffered, but you share, and you share it as it is. I do have an email in front of me from Joan from Toronto. She wants to know, on your darkest days, Tracey, how did you find your motivation to even show up to therapy or even bother getting out of bed?
Well, I'm flashing back to those dark, dark moments. And, sometimes I didn't get out of bed. Sometimes I did spend a lot of time on the floor in a fetal position crying. And I mean, Sandra, I have to say, you are the reason that kind of got me through, because you gave me hope. You told me it'll get better, and I just had to believe, and I had to work, and so I did, and it did get better.
You worked so hard. Even during the hardest times. A lot of people would have curled up into fetal position and called themselves a victim of their circumstances. You have a quality that not everybody has, the ability to not fall into victimization, the ability to want better, and that's why I call you an empowered woman. What drives that quality in you, Tracey Deer?
I think it's a very interesting question, and I think it has to relate to culturally. I think, I'm an Aboriginal person, and Aboriginal people have been victimized for about 300 years now, since colonization. And there's a lot of intergenerational trauma that gets passed down, and I've grown up with it, and I see the effects of it back home, and that makes me mad. And again, harnessing anger to the positive is that I will not be that. You can try, you have tried, you can try, but I refuse to accept that label. I will not be a victim.
So you're a passionate woman, and you know what? You deserve all the success you've achieved, both professionally and personally, because you took your anger, you took your pain, and you've turned it into something positive. I'm definitely going to want you back because I want to talk about enabling, more what enabling is. I know many people wanted to get into that today, but there's so many facets to you, and I've told you privately, but I need to say it so it's forever on the air. What an inspiration you are to so many people and your people. You talk about the work you've done for your people, and you are a gift to your people, and you are a gift to this world. I want to thank you so much, Tracey Deer, for coming on Straight Talk with Sandra Reich, and I can't wait to do part 2 with you so we can answer more callers and more questions. Thank you. And is there, any parting words or anything you want to tell people where you're up to, where they can find you? What are you up to these days, Tracey?
Well, we're working on the 4th season of Mohawk Girls, and I'm actually off to Toronto next week to continue that.
If anyone wants to write you have a Facebook page?
Yes, I absolutely do have a Facebook page. My Facebook page includes my Mohawk name. It might be hard to find and definitely hard to spell. But Twitter, Tracey Deer, or you could go to mohawkgirls.com and you can find my Facebook that way as well.
If you want any more information about Tracey, the work she does, or any questions, you can also go on the Facebook page, Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. Let your friends know about this episode because Tracey's story is one that unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we hear from women time and time again. And she is someone who took herself from victimization to empowerment, and she keeps on doing it. She keeps doing it over and over again. So she's no longer that pretzel. She is a strong, empowered woman who I am honored to consider friend, colleague, all of the above. So thank you so much, Tracey Deer, for coming on and helping inspire so many people.
Thank you, Sandra, for those very, very kind words.
This is Straight Talk, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program, brought to you on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericahealth.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.